Hello everyone and welcome back to Mariana Math Books. My name is Mariana and today is the first of my Tagmas videos. Where exactly is Tagmas? As I mentioned in my vlog video, the previous video that I uploaded, I had this crazy idea of bulk filming all of the tags that I have behind and uploading them during the last days of December. I love the concept of Vlogmas, but it's too hard for me to do. I attempted my first vlog last week, you saw the video, and while I had a lot of fun filming, I don't know how people can do daily vlogs. And also 24 days is a lot of days. So instead I thought I would do a version of Vlogmas that is not actually vlogs but tags, hence Tagmas, and instead of filming one tag or uploading one tag every day from December 1st to December 24th, I thought I would upload one tag every day from December 24th to December 31st. So it's a backwards Vlogmas, but instead of vlogs there are tags. Sort of. That's the idea. I am hoping I can accomplish it. I am again not making promises because this time of the year is very hectic. So my plan is I am going to first film in bulk or in batches, which means you are going to see a lot of repeat outfits. Second, I am going to try to keep my answers brief so as not to have super long videos. And thirdly, I am going to try to keep the editing to a minimum because I have tons of tags that I haven't filmed. Some days there will be a double tag like today, in which I am going to do the Three Musketeers Tag, which is a new original tag created by Vicky at Teacup Storyteller, and then I am going to do the Invisible Cities Tag. Okay, let's start with the Invisible Cities tag. Invisible Cities project is a reading project I have been participating in. It was created by several international booktubers, and the idea of the project was to read more translated fiction. So what I did is that every month you had 2 countries to read from. So 2 months in advance, they announced the countries for each month. I learned about the project from Natalie at Curious Reader, and she is the one I followed from the project. I'm going to link her video, her original announcement video, and I also found out about the Invisible Cities tag from Natalie, who did it recently in her channel. I thought the questions were great, and the idea of the tag is to promote the project, so I thought it would be good to participate. This is a project that I participated in an informal way, which means that I didn't meet every single prompt, and that is the same way I am. The Invisible Cities project will still be going on for 2022, and I still want to participate again informally, so I won't meet every single prompt, but I will keep an eye out for the announcement videos to add to my reading whenever I can. That is the project, and the questions are as follows. Number 1 is, what is your favorite book from the ones that you read for Invisible Cities 2021? So I have 2 books for this. The first one is Delirium by Restrepo. This is a favorite of mine because I body read it precisely with Natalie, and because Restrepo is an author from Colombia, I was able to read the book in the original language in Spanish, and Natalie read it in the translation in English. So it was very interesting to do a body read where I read the original, Natalie read the translated, and the conversations were very interesting. The book was super interesting as well, not only the premise, but I loved the way that Restrepo has of playing with language. She does this thing where she switches tenses and she switches persons in the same sentence. So she will be narrating in the third person at the beginning of the sentence, and then the end of the sentence ends in first person. But she does it really, really well. And that is something that I really enjoyed and that I thought really added to the book. The second one is The Queue by Bazma Abdel Aziz. She is from Egypt. She is an Egyptian author. And this book is a dystopia set in Egypt, in the future, obviously an imaginary future. But what I thought was super interesting is that I found it extremely relatable to present day real life Mexico. So that's what I found super interesting, and there are certain instances in real life where I will be living through something here in Mexico and I remember the book. Question number 2 is, which author that you read for Invisible Cities are you interested in reading more from? And that would be Laura Restrepo. As I mentioned, she is a very interesting writer and I love the way she plays with language. So I would be interested to see how she or if she does this in other books, or if she mainly does it in Delirium. I would be interested to see how she writes other books. Question number 3 is, what is a non-book related favorite, food, music, movies, etc. you discovered via the Invisible Cities? The cool thing about Invisible Cities is that not only did they encourage you to read from the countries they selected, but also eat food from those countries, listen to music from those countries, watch movies from those countries, etc. This is where I failed completely, and I actually don't have an answer for this question because I mainly stuck to reading. I think access to foreign movies and international food is much more difficult than literature. Music is something that I could have looked for if I had been purposeful about it, and I wasn't. I'm not a big music person, so I think that might be it. But I would definitely like to do more of that for 2022. Next question is, any countries you read for the first time? So I am going to go with The Queue because I don't think I had ever read anything by an Egyptian author. A geographic area or country you want to explore more, that is Eastern Europe. I really enjoyed reading authors from Eastern Europe, specifically women from Eastern Europe. I would like to explore more that area. Recommend one woman in translation you read for the project. Again, I am going to recommend one from my Eastern Europe reading, and that is either Dubravka Ugrešić, who is a Croatian author, or Olga Tokarczuk, who is a Polish author. Finally, do you have any Invisible Cities goals for next year? Reading goals, activities, etc. I already mentioned the other media, especially music. I think that would be something interesting to look for. Other than that, I would actually like to get to some books that I wanted to read this year that I didn't get to. First, from Palestine are Palestinian Walks, Forays into a Vanishing Landscape by Raja Shehadeh. Then for Peru, I have Ximena de dos Caminos by Laura Riesco. In English, it is translated as Ximena at the Crossroads. And then for Chile, I have Sangre en el Ojo by Lina Meruane. The translation in English is Seeing Red. And for Argentina, I have El Nervio Óptico by María Gainza, which was translated as Optic Nerve. I would like to get to those 4 books, as well as seeing which other countries they announced for 2022. Let's see if they add some Eastern European countries. So that would be it for the Invisible Cities tag, and now I am going to do the Three Musketeers tag, which, as I said, is a new original tag created by Becky, please tell me, Becky, please tell me your name, your proper name in the comments. But her channel is Teacup the Storyteller, and I love all her videos. I love her reading. I think we have very similar tastes, and she tagged me in this recent original tag she created, so I wanted to do it as soon as I could because it's a new tag and she recently created it. So let's get the tag moving. This is one of those tags where you don't have to have read the book in order to answer the questions, which is good because I have never read the Three Musketeers. So the first question says, Alexandre Dumas was born in the 19th century. Do you have a favorite time period to read about? If yes, what do you like about it? I actually love reading from the 19th century. I love the Victorian period, and I also love more ancient times. For some reason, I am a little bit teensy bit obsessed with Viking culture, Anglo-Saxon culture, all of that, and so that is also a time period that and geographic area, I guess, that really intrigues me. Question number 2. Alexandre Dumas was born in France. Is there a French author whose books you'd recommend? I have 2 authors, but they are not authors that I want to recommend, rather they are authors I want to read from. One of them is Émile Zola. I read from him a while ago, like in high school, I think. Thérése Raquin, I remember really loving it, and I would like to reread it because I'm not even sure if I finished it back when I first read it. I don't remember anything about the book, but I remember that I was loving it, and there is a movie that also really looks very good, so I want to read that one. And another author, that one is a classic author, and a more contemporary author I would really like to read is Amélie Nothomb. She has several books that sound very good, sort of like dystopia type fiction, literary dystopia type fiction. And then the next question is, Alexandre Dumas often based his novels on real events and historical figures. Is there a person from the past, artists, politicians, simply anyone you would like to meet? Well, I have answered recently, and you already know this, that I would love to meet Tolkien, but to give a different answer, I would love to meet Mary, Queen of Scots. I'm going to keep it super honest with you guys and say it's because of the TV show Rain, which I know is the least historical accurate thing in history, but I don't care. I love that show, and after I watched it, I got to be obsessed with Mary, Queen of Scots, and I read a lot about her actual life. I'd love to read a really good biography on Mary, Queen of Scots if someone has a recommendation. She has such a tragic life that I would like to meet her. And then number 4, Alexandre Dumas. Oh god, I can't read. Oh my god. Alexandre Dumas wrote some pretty chunky books. For example, The Count of Monte Cristo is almost over 1,000 pages, as opposed to his son Alexandre Dumas Jr., whose only book, The Lady of the Camellias, is less than 180 pages. What is the longest and the shortest book you've read? So the longest book I have read is probably The Lord of the Rings, if you counted 3 volumes as a whole. I think that's the longest one that I have read. And the shortest, I recently did the shortest September, so any of those could actually be a candidate for the shortest book. I believe the shortest one I read for Shorty September was Lifeboat number 8, which is a non-fiction book about the Titanic, which is very good. if you want a good short book about the real life events of the Titanic, that one is I would very much recommend it. And then number 5, I don't think there is a video in which I won't mention my favorite book, The Three Musketeers. Is there a book you want everyone to know about? It can be your favorite book of all time or some recent read you recommend to other people. You know which book I'm thinking about. You know which book I want to answer. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. But I'm not going to say that one because I have talked endlessly about it and I want to change up my answer. So instead I'm going to recommend a book that I mentioned in every single video when I first started my channel, but I haven't mentioned it in a while, and that is Amber and Clay by Laura Amy Schlitz. This one is a middle grade book, but I recommend it to absolutely everyone. If you have never read middle grade, if you are not interested in middle grade, if you don't think you like middle grade, you have to read this book. You have to, okay? If you are at all interested in ancient classics, in ancient Greek literature, Greek myths, historical fiction, really clever writing, books in verse, if any of those, you don't have to be attracted to all of those. If any of those individually sounds appealing to you, please, pretty please, go and read Amber and Clay. If you like the Odyssey, if you like the Iliad, if you like Homer in general, if you like, I don't know, the any of the Greek plays, please, I'm begging you, go and read Amber and Clay. It is such a smart book. Laura Amy Schlitz is such a good author. She pays homage to ancient Greek classics in such a good way. You can read her author's note and it explains what she tried to do with the book, and it's just I already read this book twice this year. I read it first in March, and then I read it with Cara from Wild Book Garden in August, I believe. I have already read it twice, and I already want to read it again. If you like at all any of the Greek classics, Amber and Clay is a must read for you. Must read. Must. Moving on. Question number 6. One of the most famous quotes in literature, all for one and one for all, came from the pen of Alexander Dumas. Do you keep track of your favorite quotes when reading? Do you have at least one quote you'd like to share? Which book does it come from? I'm thinking I want to share a quote from Amber and Clay just to solidify the recommendation that I just gave you. I have several of them. I have one memorized that I think about all the time. But I'm not going to share that one with you because if I do, it's going to spoil a very special moment in the book. So I am going to, you know what? I'm going to keep answering questions and then I'm going to go back to his questions so I can look for a quote and share it with you guys, because I do want to share a quote from that book. Then question number 7 would be, The Three Musketeers is a book of strong friendship and allegiance. Do you have a favorite fictional friendship? Yes, I do. I don't want to say. Question number 9. There are more than 50 film adaptations of The Three Musketeers. Is there a film adaptation that you enjoyed more than the actual book? Doesn't have to be one of Dumas' books, just any book you've read and its film adaptation. That is a super easy question because I've always thought it. I talk about it all the time. The Hunger Games. The movies are infinitely better than the books. You can fight me on this. Question number 10. I own 3 different book editions of The Three Musketeers. Is there a book you own more than one edition of? I don't want to say. 11. Have you read The Three Musketeers or any books by Alexander Dumas? If yes, which one? I have actually never read one, but I do. I'm very intrigued by the Count of Monte Cristo. I've always heard about it. I've heard many people talk about it. It's a super recommended book. But let's say the last review I saw that I thought, okay, now I really want to read The Count of Monte Cristo was from Susan at Road Reads. If you want to be convinced to read that book, go ahead and check her review. I'm going to link it down below. Okay, finally, tag some friends to do this tag. Oh, I forgot to say at the beginning of the video when I explained about my strategy for this end of the year tag videos, I am not going to tag anyone in any of the tags because it's I'm really bad at tagging. I never know who to tag, and again, in order to keep it simple and to try to achieve my goal of a tag every day, I'm going to leave this tag question open to anyone who wants to see it. Consider yourself tagged. That will be my generic answer for all of the tags that I do from here to the end of the year. And now let's go back to the quote question and let's look for a good quote from Amber and Clay. Okay, let's do this one. It is from the very beginning of the book. So Amber and Clay is a book mainly written in verse, though there are some prose sections, but there are different narrators throughout. It's a very, very interesting structure. That's why I tell you, you have to read it. It's such a smart book. This particular section is a section in verse, and the narrator is Hermes. There are several Greek gods that are narrators throughout the book, and Hermes is the main one. He is the one that is telling the story throughout. And so this is from the beginning of the book, and it is from the one of the Hermes Speaks sections. What am I doing here? I assure you, I go everywhere. I can soar above Olympus, or dive to the depths of the underworld. Talk to the dead and come out quick. That's a pun. Quick means alive, or used to, which reminds me. I bring you a story that tells of the quick and the dead. The tale of a girl as precious as amber, the tale of a boy as common as clay. The meaning, the moral, is up to you. We gods swap stories, but you are the ones who divine what they mean. I think it's because you suffer. We gods don't. We think pain is overrated. We watch you the way we watch television. If you make us laugh, and believe me, you do, we adore that. If you make us cry, so much the better. That's a good show. But we don't lose sleep over you suffering, or puzzle over what it means. You poor mortals, you want to know why. We gods don't suffer, so we don't care why. Hermes is super funny all throughout the book. I love his sense of humor. And as I said, there are many narrators. I'm not going to keep talking about the book. Go and read it. But yeah, that would be the quote.